please.
This meeting is being recorded.
Welcome to the August 12th meeting of the City of Lake Forest Plan Commission. I'm Rosemary Kerr, Chairman of the Commission. In compliance with recent modifications to the Open Meetings Act, this meeting is being conducted remotely on a very sunny day. As Chairman of the Plan Commission, I have made the determination that it's not prudent or practical to conduct an in-person meeting due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and that it is not feasible to have the Commission members or the public physically present. Public access to this meeting is being provided. This meeting is being broadcast on cable TV and is available online through the link provided on the agenda. The agenda for the meeting, which also has a link, is available on the City of Lake Forest website under Government Plan, Boards and Commissions, Plan Commission. Public testimony is welcome, and you can either try the link, but we would suggest you call 847-810-3643. That's 847-810-3643, and you will be placed on hold until the public hearing portion of the meeting. At this time, I would like to introduce the members of the commission and staff, and due to our Zoom format, I think it might be easier if I mention each commissioner by name, and they can wave or nod or otherwise acknowledge yourselves to the audience. Commissioner Moorhead, Commissioner Freeman, Commissioner Artman-Ruggles, Commissioner Douglas, Commissioner Athenson, and Commissioner Dixon. And for the city, we have Kathy Cerniak, Director of Development. Our first item of business is consideration of the minutes from past meetings of the commission. Are there any corrections to the minutes of the February 12th, 2020 Plan Commission meeting? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second. Is there second? All those in favor of approving the minutes from the February 12th, 2020 Plan Commission meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Next, we are reviewing the July 8th, 2020 minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes of the July 8th, 2020 Plan Commission meeting? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the July 8th, 2020 Plan Commission meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. The motion passes. And now, before proceeding with the main agenda items for the evening, Kathy Cerniak has an update for us on 120 Alden Lane.
I did receive a request within the last hour or so from the petitioner to withdraw the petition. However, I do see that the petitioner is in the audience, so at this point, maybe we wait until we get to that item and ask the petitioner how he would like to proceed. I would like to suggest that in any event, at most we postpone it to give us an opportunity to continue to talk with the petitioner about options. But at this point, I don't want to speak for the petitioner, so I would suggest proceed with the agenda in the order that's been presented to you.
Good. At this time, I'd like to ask staff to promote the petitioner, Peter Coutant, to the panel. And I would ask the petitioner to stand and raise your right hand, or Or sit so that we can see you and raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay, thank you. The item on the agenda for public hearing and action is consideration of a request for approval of a special use permit to allow a real estate office to be located in existing tenant space at 284 East Deer Path in the B4 Traditional Business District. Property owner is Arcade on Deer Path LLC. Members are James Altunian II, Jennifer Bianchi, Todd Altunian, and Nicole Altunian, each owning 25%. The prospective tenant is Lori Baker and Alyssa McNicholas in affiliation with Compass Real Estate. Are there any ex parte contacts or conflicts of interest for members of the commission to report? Well, I will report that Lori Baker and one of her daughters and my daughter were in school together, so we are acquaintances. And of course, Peter Coutant was formerly working with the zoning board when he was with the city of Lake Forest, so I'm familiar with Peter as well. However, I don't believe either of these contacts will prevent me from making an independent decision. Peter, would you like to proceed?
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Kerr, members of the commission. I'm Peter Coutant, and I'm joined along with me this evening by Lori Baker and Alyssa McNicholas. And I think if there's an opportunity for them to speak or answer questions, that would be great as well if we can patch them through. I know they're on and watching. We're here tonight to request approval to open a small real estate office in the tenant space at 284 East Deer Path. It will be an office that's run by Lori Baker and Alyssa McNicholas, but affiliated and operated as Compass Real Estate. A little bit of background on Compass. Since they first launched in about 2012, Compass has become a nationwide brokerage. They've got more than 300 offices across the country. And in the last couple of years, they've become the #3 residential brokerage by volume nationally and the #2 brokerage in the Chicago market. And they've been expanding over the last couple of years into some suburban locations, including Winnetka and Hinsdale, as well as they've got a couple of recent satellite offices in Glencoe and I believe Arlington Heights. So this is a growing brokerage and an office that we're excited to be joining. This office will be Lori, Alyssa, and I. It'll be the three of us. And a little bit of background on us. And until recently, the three of us worked at Coldwell Banker, really our entire real estate careers. That's 20 years for Lori, 14 years for Alyssa, and 8 years for me. Lori and Alyssa are lifelong residents of Lake Forest. Both were born and raised here. I believe Lori is a third or fourth generation Lake Forester, and Alyssa as well. So I grew up in Lake Forest and I've worked in the community professionally for the past 23 years. The three of us have been business partners for the past 2 years plus, and our business really is focused primarily on working with buyers and sellers in the Lake Forest and the Lake Bluff market. More than we went back and looked at our transactions, and more than 90% of our transactions are based in Lake Forest and Lake Bluff. We've been the top producing real estate team consistently. So we know Lake Forest and we know the Lake Forest real estate market really well. Several months ago, Compass approached us about joining their brokerage and opening a small satellite office in town. And it's something that we gave a lot of very careful consideration to and a lot of thought to before we finally decided to make the leap. And for us, this is really, it's an exciting opportunity. It's a chance for us to create a business that really is truly hyper local, focused on promoting why Lake Forest really is the best community to live in on the North Shore. We envision this office being our hub. All three of us really are office people. We enjoy going into the office and working. And we anticipate that once we open up, this will be really a vibrant place for us where we'll be meeting with clients on a regular basis, on a daily basis. And not just clients who live locally, but we meet with a lot of clients and buyers who are coming in from out of town. And so we really see this as, giving them a first introduction to the community, a place where they can then jump off and explore Lake Forest further, shop locally, eat in our restaurants in the downtown, and add to the vitality of the business district. We certainly understand the need for a careful review of non-retail uses in the central business district, the need to maintain the vitality of the downtown. And so really, as we've talked through what we want this office to be, one of our goals is to have it be a vibrant, active place. It's only 950 square feet, but we think that it can add to the vitality of the downtown in the same way that a retailer would. Over the next 2 years, we may grow the office to include 6, 8, 10 other agents. Because this is our office, we really have the ability to control who joins us and to make sure that those agents are also vested in promoting Lake Forest and understanding Lake Forest in the real estate market here. I mentioned it's just 950 square feet, so it's not a big space. We don't require any structural changes to it, just the removal of some existing cabinetry fixtures that were there from the previous tenant, and then some cosmetic improvements, some new flooring, probably carpeting, light fixtures, paint, office furniture, that kind of thing. And any exterior signage would likely be on the awning and then on the storefront glass. So very similar to what's there today. So this is an exciting opportunity for us. We're thrilled. We're really excited to get up and running and out of our kitchen islands and really back into the downtown. So with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. And for the city, Kathy, do you have some comments to make?
I do. Thank you, Chairman. This request comes to you because in 2003, the City Council, based on a recommendation from the Plan Commission, established real estate offices and banks as special uses in all of our business districts. At that time in 2003, the code amendment was really initiated by the number of banks that were moving into town at that time. A requirement for a special use permit does not prohibit banks or real estate offices from locating in the business district, but requires a public hearing process and requires review by the Plan Commission based on the criteria that are established for special uses. You do have a staff report in front of you that presents findings in support of this request. To summarize, the proposed location of the real estate office has not in the past been an easy to rent retail space. In speaking with the owners of the building, this space has been vacant for about a year. In the past, in the recent past, it was a jewelry store. The jewelry store changed ownerships. Really the most active use of this space was Sweets Candy Store a number of years ago before Sweets consolidated. The storefront at this location, although very unique and very intriguing, is only about 18 feet wide. So the space itself does not have a high presence on Deer Path. There are other real estate offices that have been approved through the special use permit process. Griffith Grant Lackey, directly to the west, was approved a number of years ago. They moved around the corner from Western Avenue. They already had a presence in the Central Business District. More recently, the Plan Commission saw and recommended approval of the relocation of Caldwell Banker from the southeast corner of Deer Path and Oakwood to a space on Forest Avenue. The work on the Forest Avenue space is underway. It's been delayed a bit, but Caldwell Banker will actually be moving off of Deer Path. So the location of this new Compass office will not increase the number of real estate offices on that block of Deer Path, but will maintain it at 2. Parking is available. Importantly, as has been a condition for all other special uses granted for real estate offices, employee parking is not intended to be on the public streets. Parking on the public streets is intended for customers, whether it's customers of real estate offices or banks or suites or Einstein's or Starbucks. So we are recommending that that condition, again, consistent with past approvals, be applied to this. As Mr. Kutown said, no exterior changes are proposed. In early discussions about signage, the signage would likely be minimal, perhaps something on the awning and something on the window. There really is not an appropriate location for a board sign above the window in this location. The signage would need to be consistent with the code. Any requests over and above what's permitted in the code would need to be reviewed by the Historic Preservation Commission. Staff does find this to be a request that is consistent with the criteria, not one that will materially negatively impact other surrounding uses or the Central Business District as a whole. So our staff recommendation is to approve this request. If you choose to do so, it would be appropriate to pass a motion in support of the request, which would then be forwarded to the City Council for final consideration. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. And at this time, then, we will proceed with questions and requests for clarification from the commission members to petitioner or staff. Beginning with Commissioner Moorhead, please.
Just one question for Kathy. The staff report references the 10% non-retail rule. And my question is, does this application satisfy that rule?
It does. We have a number of vacant spaces throughout the business district. They are larger spaces, and those would be required to be retail unless a variance is required. But yes, this small frontage, the 18 feet, does keep us within that 10%.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Artman Ruggles, please.
I also had a question for Kathy, and in the staff recommendations, item number 2, it makes note of jockeying of the cars on the street is basically prohibited. How is that enforced?
It is difficult to enforce. We do periodically, proactively, using our community service officers, track license plates. Interestingly, some cars become very familiar to our community service officers if they are employees who regularly use those spaces. So it's not something we can assure. We really look to business owners to make sure that their employees are not using spaces intended for customers. So it's an encouragement. We enforce it as we can.
Okay, because there could potentially be up to 6 to 10 employees. Is that what I heard? Okay. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Douglas.
No questions.
Commissioner Freeman.
No questions.
Commissioner Dixon,
No questions.
Commissioner Athenson.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Wow, finally. I apologize for that. I just had a quick question. First of all, congratulations, Peter and Lori and Alyssa, for this new business opportunity. I think that's great for all of you. I had a question about, is that space big enough to accommodate 10 agents? Or would you have to expand?
Well, I think, certainly the way real estate offices have moved in the last few years is a lot of shared workspaces. And most agents aren't necessarily in the offices all at the same time. So 10 probably is at the high end. And I would think that, if we got to that point or needed to go beyond that point, it would probably necessitate finding a different space.
Okay, because it does seem like it's a small space, so, and given the COVID issues, just wondering how, and hopefully when you get to that point, COVID will be done. The other question I have is about parking, and maybe Kathy, you can answer this question for me, because it's so difficult to park on Deer Path. And so I understand employees would be parking remotely, but it's parallel parking, and it's so hard to park there for customers. And I know the city is doing that Deer Path beautification project. Are there plans to put in angled parking to make it easier to accommodate more customers along there? I'm just wondering how all the customers would fit on Deer Path.
A study was recently done exploring the potential for converting the parking on Deer Path to diagonal, and for various engineering reasons, the location of utilities, the need to keep the lanes on Deer Path are already narrow, and to avoid narrowing those further, converting parking on Deer Path is not something that's being proposed. So amazingly, people here do seem to learn to parallel park. Those spaces are very frequently filled. So we do know that that's an issue. There is diagonal parking around the corner on Western for those who may not feel comfortable parallel parking, but people seem to make it work.
All right. That's all my questions. Thank you.
All right, before we proceed, are there any other questions from commissioners? Now we come to the public testimony period, not to exceed 5 minutes per speaker. Do we have any members of the public online who wish to give testimony?
There are no callers, Chairman Kerr.
Thank you. Then we come to final questions from the commission to the petitioner or staff, or any directions to be given to petitioner and staff, or requests for additional information. Do any commissioners have any additional questions or requests for additional information? Okay. Staff response to public testimony. We've had no public testimony, so we will move on to commission discussion and comment. As suggested at the last meeting, that I will call on each commissioner just given the Zoom format. Commissioner Moorhead, any discussion or comment you care to make?
I don't have any further questions or any particular comments. It appears that the application satisfies the criteria for special use permit, so I'm comfortable with it and would support.
Thank you. Commissioner Artman Ruggles.
Chairman, it appears we do have one person who may
Thank
wish
you.
to speak.
Okay.
If you'd allow us to bring that person in. Michelle, can you advance the speaker, please?
Yes, just a minute.
Thank you.
So this would be reopening public testimony.
Yeah, I think perhaps it's just simply by virtue of,
Delays with the format.
yes, yeah. I think
Okay.
it's appropriate in this case.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, I'm sorry I tuned in late. I do not wish to testify on this petition. I'm glad to have Compass coming to town, though. And I do wish to address the Plan Commission
Okay.
for items
Thank
not on
you.
the agenda.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Commissioner Artman Ruggles, did we hear from you?
No,
Okay.
other than the slight concern about jockeying the parking, which is difficult to do, I do welcome the business to our downtown area. And since we still conform with the 10%, I'm in approval of the petition.
Commissioner Douglas?
I also am in support. I found that the findings in support of special use permit written by the staff was, well put, well researched, and on point. And so I would support staff's recommendation.
Thank you. Commissioner Freeman?
I agree. Welcome.
Commissioner Dixon?
I agree and wish Peter and his team nothing but success and concur with the staff recommendations.
Commissioner Athenson?
I agree. It's bringing us some more vitality to that Deer Path storefront, and I don't think that it's going to upset the balance of the 10% rule, and I think it'll be an asset to our community. So congratulations and welcome.
Okay, thank you. Hearing no further comments, I would invite a recommendation of,
I'd make a motion to approve a special use permit authorizing the Office of Compass to occupy the first floor space at 284 East Deer Path, subject to the 5 conditions of approval recommended by staff.
is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor of the, Kathy, I see. Did you have something you needed to say?
We have to.
In this format, we do need to do a roll call vote. So
Okay.
I'm prepared to do that now. Commissioner Moorhead,
Aye.
Commissioner Athenson, Commissioner Ruggles,
Aye.
Commissioner Dixon,
Aye.
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Commissioner Douglas,
Aye.
Chairman Kerr.
Aye.
You have 7 yeas, no nays. The motion passes.
And
Good luck. Thank you.
I also wish you continued success in your new location.
Thank you very much.
So
Thank you.
much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, I'm going to ask Kathy Cerniak if she has an update regarding the next petition.
I do not. I do know that the petitioner is in the audience. So perhaps if we're going to hear this item, Chairman, you'd have to ask for conflicts of interest, but perhaps we could just get an indication from Mr. Martin if he would like this item to be heard or if he would like it to be pulled from the agenda tonight. And again, staff would be happy to have further conversations with him.
And if he's in the audience, can he call at 847-810-3643?
Kathy, it doesn't appear he's in the attendee list any longer.
Okay,
Okay.
maybe we will just give him a few minutes. Mr. Martin, if you are there, the number again is 847-810-3643. If not, I did receive a formal request to withdraw the petition. Again, I suggest that we just postpone consideration, and I will reach out to the petitioner to talk this matter through further. We did receive some additional input, and again, I'm happy to reach out to him and have a further discussion. Michelle, do we have any callers on the line?
There are not any callers on the line.
And Mr. Martin is no longer in the audience.
He's not in the audience.
Chairman, I think you can proceed with the rest of the agenda. We will consider this item postponed at the request of the petitioner.
Do we need to have a motion to so state that?
I don't believe a motion is appropriate. You're not continuing it. It's simply postponed at the request of the petitioner, and we will note that in the record.
All right, thank you. Then other items would be the opportunity for the public to address the Plan Commission on matters not on the agenda. Are there any members of the public still in attendance who would like to offer any comments?
There is no one on the line. If you'd like me to bring Ms. Lopat back.
I thought the earlier caller indicated she wanted to speak on a non-agenda item, but if she's not here, then
She is in the audience still, and if you'd like me to bring her back, Chairman, I can.
Maybe we can give that phone number again, 847.
I would like to come back.
Oh.
I don't know why.
847-810-3643. Or shall we?
847.
He's back.
yeah, we can hear her.
Okay,
I don't know.
okay. Then Rami Lopat, do you solemnly declare and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Then please proceed. We ask members of the public to keep their comments to 5 minutes in deference to other members of the public as well. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My name is Rami Lopez, and I live at 410 East Woodland Road. I'm going to plunge into this. I'm a little uncertain, but I'm going to go ahead anyway. Back in September, this is concerning the library, and back in September 2016, 4 years ago, the Plan Commission started talking about how, in Commissioner Freeman's words, to use parcel number 3 of the McKinley Road development to implement a grand vision for the area. Let me stop. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. The Plan Commission approved parameters that, as you know, that included, quote, the use of the city property or some portion of it to improve circulation on the library site, provide for overflow parking, to provide green space to buffer the north side of the library. At those meetings, various plan commissioners called for a master plan for the library. Indeed, Ms. Cerniak told you that the City Council looked to you, the Plan Commission, to identify the best long-term use for the surplus land. Despite 8 or more meetings with Peter Whitmer, one important planning tool was never commissioned by the Plan Commission, a master plan for the library. And thus, unless I missed something in reading 4 years of library board minutes and Plan Commission minutes, you have never had an in-depth discussion of the library and how its needs are changing across the future. There has never been a library-centric view of the library's future and adjacent property. Indeed, when the master plan for McKinley was discussed by you, the library director, who was new at the time, and the board were only talking about protecting the 15 parking spaces the Historical Society gave them and the unsightly rear view of the library, their term. It took until mid-2019 for the library to begin contemplating replacing its north wing with a 2-story addition, but by that time, the Westminster project was ongoing and only required the transfer of I think it's Outlot B, of a small parcel to provide parking and square off the library's property. That was all for the existing library, that parking. Last night, the library saw 2 probable finalists for an expanded building. In its Zoom slideshow, HGA Architects showed 2018 site parameters And then they showed 2020 site parameters. In 2018, remember that was before a 47% increase to the library building was contemplated. They showed that the library would get those 15 parking spaces at the rear of the library. It's shown in a big red box.
Rami, we can't hear you anymore.
And there's
Michelle.
slides. Now into the parameters. Hello. Hi.
Hi. We seem to have missed part of your presentation there, Rami.
Oh dear. Well, last night.
After you mentioned the 15 parking spaces in a red area.
Okay. The red area was shown in a slide by HGA Architects. Okay. It was called 2018 parameters. Can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay. Then they showed another slide. It's called 2020 parameters. That red box, I assume it's not labeled. I assume that's outlot B is now smaller, and there's no parking at the rear. So I ask whether I should say that the architect has said 3 or 4 times now that the library's site is smaller due to the McKinley project, but he has not explained why. I want to know whether the Altunian plan has changed or whether the library's expansion is just so large that it bogarts that parking area. Indeed, the library is so constrained that one of the expansion options earlier than last night shows the roadway going through the new building on the first floor. And one of the options last night shows a cantilevered building just to provide an additional 1,000 square feet because the roadway constrains the building so much. So they have to cantilever the second floor. So we've known all along that the library is landlocked and site constrained. We've also known it needed a master plan for the site. You said so yourself in 2016. And you were tasked with looking at the city surplus land for library needs for the best purpose for that land. So I'm asking you to take another look. I think the library board needs site planning. I think their architects need your help. Some say it's too late, that you won't do it, but I hope they are wrong. I hope you'll find a way to do some library site planning because frankly, I'm worried about a site planning train wreck in the future. So thank you, that's my testimony. Hard to do on Zoom. Wish I could see you in person, but I hope you will help on this.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Kathy Cerniak to address your issues.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. I'd appreciate that.
Kathy, there seem to be a few points that the open space was not mentioned and others. You might be best to comment on that.
Sure. I guess I will start by saying the library project that's being discussed now is certainly is not final. We really are at the very beginning of that process, and the library planning process is under the purview of the library board. There's nothing currently being proposed on the library site right now that would bring this project to the Plan Commission. The City Council has not yet seen or weighed in on the project, the magnitude of the project, the parameters of the project. Ultimately, any project on that site, because it is within the historic district, would require review by the Historic Preservation District. So that's kind of where the project stands. It is a library project. It is not a city project. The library is its own taxing district and has its own board. With respect to the McKinley development, several of you on the Plan Commission are very well aware of that process. There was a master plan. Phase 1 was built. Phase 2 was built. There were some adjustments. There was the acquisition of the church property. The building 2 elongated a bit. There was some loss of the additional land that was initially targeted for increased library parking. There still is a transfer parcel proposed. The green space originally envisioned, at least in discussions by the Plan Commission to date, was elongated and extended across the south portion of what may in the future be phase 3 to the east property line, specifically to give some additional breathing room to the library, knowing that something might happen on that site in the future. The green space, as it's envisioned, is intended to have a public access easement. There was discussion about the library being able to use that green space for children's activities or just having benches and allowing people to be able to gather there. You have not approved a phase 3. That discussion is continuing. And at some point, phase 3 will need to come back to the Plan Commission. But the library has been clear that using that phase 3 parcel for a separate building or an annex really does not fit their model of trying to be efficient and effective. The library did survey the community. They've had a number of focus groups. They've done a number of individual interviews. What they heard from the community was that existing 1931 building was important to preserve and was important to preserve as the location for the library. And I believe those are 2 fundamental pieces that the library board is operating on. But at this point, there is no jurisdiction that the Plan Commission would have over the planning on the library site.
And so the space that was originally thought to be allocated for parking spaces, if in the new plan, the library chooses to use it for other library purposes, I don't see that that's a difference to the Plan Commission.
There was no requirement that,
Correct.
but the idea was always that we'd provide spaces to provide about 8 parking spaces.
Right.
I think 15 was referenced. I think that had to do with the parking that was used previously behind the Historical Society building. That was kind of default parking. But
And it was
yeah,
never part of the library's property.
Right.
So the
Correct.
library property did not become smaller. It actually gained, is my recollection of it. And so, but just to be clear on process, would it go to historic preservation, Kathy, only, or would it go to historic preservation and then back to plan, just so that the public has an idea as to where they go next?
The library project as it's currently envisioned would not require any approval from the Plan Commission.
Okay.
It is possible, I don't know what the final plan would be. Possibly there may be some zoning setback issues, which because it is an existing developed site, it would go to the Zoning Board of Appeals, but it wouldn't go anywhere. Because of the unique relationship between the library and the city, that project will not go to any board and commission until it goes to the city council. The city weighs in on the overall project, the magnitude. They don't have approval authority, but it's likely there will need to be some support from the city. At the direction of the city council, we would then initiate review by the Historic Preservation Commission for sure, and if necessary, the Zoning Board of Appeals. It would not, as currently envisioned, require review or any action by the Plan Commission.
So Kathy, I have a question. So if it's not to come before the Plan Commission, as you just described, what would be, to just follow up on Michael's question, what would be the next step for the public if there were questions, if there was concerns as to what was occurring with the library project in a general sense, and there were many specific questions that were just raised here this evening, what would one do if they had concern with that project / questions? Where would they go?
The library website currently has all of the information. The library's really been gathering information, doing surveys for at least a couple of years. The library website, Lake Forest Library website, has a specific section devoted to this project. The history, the current thinking, the next steps. I believe the library board meetings are also available to access as well.
But it would be back to the library commission in and of itself then.
Correct. There is no pending request or petition before the city for this project at this time.
Thank you.
Kathy, where would one access the public meetings? I mean, probably been tough for them to do a format of anything public, or board meeting minutes. Is that again through the library website?
The library website, there is a, I don't remember the website exactly, but you can access information about the library board. And then again, there is a special link on that website to information about this project specifically.
Okay.
So I would direct people to the Lake Forest Library website.
Thank you. Michelle, is Ms. Lopat still on the line?
She's not on the line. She is in attendance in the meeting room.
Okay. Well, does she have any further questions before we complete this portion of the Plan Commission meeting?
I don't see anything, and we have no other callers on the line.
All right, thank you. So we appreciate the public comment, and my final question would be any additional information from staff?
Nothing further other than at this point, we do anticipate continuing our meetings on Zoom. We've looked at some hybrid options. We've talked with the city attorney, at least for now, and things could change in a month, but we anticipate at least September and October continuing to have meetings in these formats.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, seeing no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And seconded.
Second.
Do we need a roll call for adjournment? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Motion passes, and thank you. Good to see everyone. Look forward to seeing us back in the chamber at some point soon.
Thank you. Be well, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.